Alright, now in this neighborhood, the power doesn't typically go out on its own. Unless lightning strikes the wire, or there's a snowstorm, or an earthquake. So unless it's one of those three things, the power don't usually go out on its own. And understandably, he is terrified, and as he has seen a damn skeleton appear out of thin air after the power goes out and comes back on. What is supposed to be at the end here is me, but anyways, what Jack means by this is he knew who Luca, Azrael, and he's even aware of Scott. He's been aware of them, been aware of the previous two, since the beginning of their lives. And the previous two, Scott and Azrael, I mean by that. But he knows it was Luca because he was his partner, or along with four others, and was married to Luca. To put this into perspective, if Jack was responsible for gouging out one of Luca's eyes, and he was also responsible for almost killing Van Ghoul, but because of Azrael, Vincent lived. And Jack is basically putting this into, if they're a part of you, then you know me. Some part of you knows me. Now, of course, Jack is actually associating Scott with Luca instead of who he actually is. And you'll see this more going into the series. White roses were both Jack's favorite flower and Luca's. As Jack began to favor the white rose because they were Luca's favorite flower. And in this AU, Jack is a serial killer who used white roses in skeleton carvings to mark his victims. But instead of it being in their hair, he had them holding it in their hands. And with their bodies laying next to a tree, where the skeleton carvings were hanging. Now, why both associate him with being a monster is, for Luca, it was because he gouged out one of his eyes, As in for Azrael, it's because he ran him through with a sword. He refers to him as being his beloved, as his beloved stars, or is because he was partnered up with both of them. I mean that he was dating them at one point. Luca and him were married, but Azrael and him were just. It's more of Luca giving him a second chance. And how that relationship worked, I will explain later on in the video. I will reveal all these two's backstories. He's more later on, which I've already done in the other channel. Also, I've actually just now changed my mind and not gonna do it. But on this channel, I will be revealing Jack's backstory. And at the end of the video, I will show you where theirs are, or if you want to go and look at them. Now he points this out to Luca that he was not the one who killed him. And justifies this by saying he only killed Azrael. He is admitting to his faults because there's literally no point in him hiding this. Now why he's saying this is because if he did not somehow care for him in some small way, Luca would have already killed him, and they wouldn't be having this conversation. Because while Jack may be unkillable, to most normal weapons, and there is a spell to kill an immortal. And eventually Jack is going to take damage if you're basically attacking him long enough. Of him striking the same spot, eventually he's going to take damage from it. Essentially, he's using his fake eyes. So, yeah. This guy has 3 forms, and you're going to be meeting all 3 of them. Also, this AU is more loosely based around Undertale. Also, yeah. I'd throw in one cool detail. It's a combination AU. No, I'm sorry. Just forget what I said. My brain's going off the hinges here. Basically, if he gets stabbed, they are going to be able to feel it. Basically, any form of injury that they take on, and they're going to be able to feel. So basically what the teacher did to Scott, it is basically really unpleasant as hell. For them. Now, of course, Jack does not know this, Yes, because his only focuses on Luca and Azrael, and a bit less on Scott. Now, Springtrap is not back at this point, and he's still disposing of the body. Yeah, but they are full on having a conversation about this. Basically, if Scott turns himself into a ghost, they'll be able to use a spell where they can turn themselves into a human temporarily, they taking Scott's place. Basically, it's like a swap out spell, or one of them is required to become a ghost in the other one's place, and one of the other two can become living again. Basically, when he was alive, if you use this spell to swap out with Luca, so these two could be intimate.